So, well, hello, Mark. Welcome to your podcast, another episode of yours and my show,
Oh,
Reactor.
thanks for inviting me. It's great
Before
to be
we
allowed on the show.
before we get started, I want to say one thing.
Hmm.
If we get 10 listeners that are actually proven listeners, like so, actually 10 people who like reach
How do you
out to
prove
us
them?
and say I am listening to your show, like, and they're not sort of friends, they're real listeners. I
Yeah.
will make an intro. I will make an
Oh,
intro music. That is my bar for intro music.
I think we may already be there, depending on the standards for verification.
Okay.
So,
Well,
how's it
let's
going
see what
anyway?
happens. Yeah, great, great, great. How are you? How are you? You said you have a lot to talk about. So
Oh,
what's
I
going on?
do. I have a ton of stuff to talk about, just interesting stuff on the internet. But I am done with my 14 days of wearing a mask, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
awesome. So I went out to eat like a zillion times. Went out to a bar with one of my French buddies who runs a similar kind of business as I do, except he teaches blockchain stuff. So
Hmm.
that has been great. It seems like I don't want to go too crazy with it, but Taiwan is still pretty safe as far as the whole virus thing. And I even got outside and did a workout at the park. So all in all, it's been pretty nice.
That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that some health stuff's coming up for you and that that's going well because remember that diabetes thing that I've been suffering from for the last 10 years and I've not been able
Yeah,
to control it.
you got your
Yeah,
monitor.
I got my glucose monitor and that's shown me that I've been terrible at managing my diabetes. Well, since last week, I have nailed it. Nailed it
Because you get the instant feedback.
no, because no, I've had the feedback for a couple of months, which has shown me how bad I've been at managing my diabetes. But which I've been trying to manage for 10 years, and I've already known that I've been bad at managing it. But I've because of I guess feeling very desperate about health, with a gun to my head, I have worked out a sustainable solution to completely manage and I think reverse diabetes and also solve my weight loss problem that I've been trying to solve for the last 30 years. And as you know, I've tried many, many, many different ways to do that
Wow,
on the
that's
Texting podcast.
fantastic.
So I think I've got a framework and a strategy that can work for me and work for anyone. So I'm very excited about
Wow,
that. I like
cool. Well,
it's a major thing.
wanna
So
wanna hear how
yeah.
it goes.
Yeah, but so I think this is going to be a good show because you've got a lot to talk about and I've got a lot to talk
We
about.
both do,
And,
yeah.
I've made good progress with Taskflow. I pretty much hit both of those goals that set last week.
Nice. Yeah. So my main one last week was do some screencasts for Alchemist Camp.
Yeah,
I got two recorded and one of them edited and on YouTube. So
yeah.
that's good. I also published two more, which I had previously recorded onto the site. Then I turned on the switch on the emails and I did a mini launch, which actually I'm just going to show
Nice.
you really quickly since we're up here. So
That's
in
awesome.
ConvertKit, I've got a bunch of sequences from previous launches set up. One is, or I've got the page showing the stats on them. One is Black Friday from last time. Another one is called Sign Up Pitch, which I just did. The Sign Up Pitch is actually a little bit better stats than the Black Friday one. Even it's a 38% open rate.
Great.
Sent 6 emails over 10 days, and the conversions were a little weird. Like usually, I shouldn't say usually, but of the two previous launches I'd done before this, I got a bunch of people that would sign up as soon as the offer was available, and then it'd be really slow, and then a whole bunch of people would sign up like in the last few hours before it closed. This time, the conversions on signing up as soon as it was available were better than I've ever seen because I only sent this out to the 460 some people, 467 people who signed up since Black Friday, but got 5 conversions in the first day, and then only one in the last day. So I'm not sure quite what happened, but it's pretty
That's great. That's real money.
cool. Yeah, 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 it is. It is some money, and it's also really repeatable because in the summer I did a pitch to everyone whose email I had, and then on Black Friday I did that again, and there are kind of like only so many times you can squeeze the rag. Eventually,
Yeah,
you
right.
can't just keep pitching the same people again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
But this time it
Good way
was
of putting it.
only new people, so I could do the exact same thing in another 3 months or even in another 45 days.
Yeah.
Just continually, make sure every new person gets the offer once, and then maybe pitch everyone just for Black Friday. So that was a win. Didn't learn anything about Git. I still want to dig deeper into the internals. And then number 4 was do some stuff for Reactor site, which I did because that was what I was screencasting for.
How many paying
Alchemist Camp.
subscribers do you have now?
100. So
Okay,
I've had a few churns. It's been like worse churn the last month than previously.
So literally, you added 5% to your bottom line.
I just made up for churn, really.
Made up for churn. Okay.
It's because
that's an interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting issue. The churn.
Well,
yeah,
I'm doing a free series right now, so I think while I'm doing something that's free, the top of the line growth is better, and that is better right now than previously. But then once I'm doing a paid series, then a whole bunch of people want it will pay, and so I'll get more signups. But it's just a trade-off. Anyway,
by the way,
you
mentioned something about you mentioned something about launching on Indie Hackers.
Yes, so I have made this podcast into an Indie Hackers product, and I've retroactively filled in the timeline. So December 19th, the idea emerged, and I talked about how we had that phone call that led to this whole thing, coming up with the name of the show, recording the first episode, even a milestone, hitting 10 subscribers, although they're not verified. And then,
so you should push each episode. I mean, if it's a product, you should push each episode into this stream.
Well, there's supposed to be milestones. I don't think every single episode's a milestone, and it also takes some effort and time to do that. So I'm a bit lazy since it's not designed specifically for that, and I think they'll get what do you call it? They'll be downregulated.
Okay.
They want exciting milestones, but I am planning, like, as soon as we get 50 subscribers, like, that'll be a milestone. As soon as we get,
okay. Yeah.
Each bit of progress. So
okay.
I've written up one for March 11th, which is titled "Lunch to IH Live on the Show." Right now we're recording our 7th episode, which we are, and since our mastermind brainstorming chat already involves screen sharing, why not use some of that to go over these updates and share it? Because we're both busy. We gotta make the most of our time.
So this is not yet live.
It's not.
This stream here, but you're about to make it live right now.
Yeah, I have to add revenue data, which I guess I'll do right now. I'll just say we have 0 revenue.
Yep, sure. Let's see that.
That's easy enough.
Yep.
And add visitors. I don't even know. Well, that's Google verified. Screw that. That makes no sense for a podcast.
Okay,
so I think all we have to do is, it'll be approved within 24 hours.
Great.
Or not. So
perfect.
It is launched.
We just did it.
Yes.
Woohoo! Welcome, Indie Hackers.
Yes. That'll be interesting. Welcome. I've been on that site a lot, but I haven't shared anything related to Alchemist Camp itself.
So welcome to our death metal logo.
Oh yeah.
And our Reactor death metal band name. We are the death metal of podcasts.
The reactor is heating up.
And if we do get proven 10 listeners and I do that intro, it's also going to be, I wouldn't say death metal, but it's going to be quite a powerfully strong intro. That's going to use another one of my songs. It's going to be. Though I've played you the song. Yeah, it's going to be that. Yeah.
So speaking of number of listeners, looking at the Pinecast feed, we seem to have 34 subscribers, and they can't tell how many subscribers we have on Spotify or anything else. It's only through apps that are reporting in such a way they can measure it. So I think we're already there.
Yeah, but are they really listening? Look, I want to get 10 emails in my inbox to say I'm listening to your show. So you can send those emails to JV. Wait, we don't have a Reactor email address, do we? Do we?
No.
Could you? But we do have a.
We have a
Do you think we
domain,
could?
but I
Do you
haven't
think we
said
could set that
anything
up?
for it. Yeah, maybe.
I guess.
Yeah.
Or should I just do my email? Okay, fine. Just do. Wait, what is that? What is the
This won't
domain
be
again?
published for a week anyway, because I just published episodes 1, 2, and 3 last week. I'm still catching up. Maybe I'll get like
We
4,
don't
5,
even
and
know
6
what the
done this week.
domain of the fucking show is. That's how new this is.
No, it's
What
Reactor
is
AM.
what is it?
Reactor AM.
Reactor.am. Okay.
Yeah,
So and what?
you bought that, I think.
So what do you like? Do you like info@reactor.am, contact@reactor.am, hello at React? What do you like? Guys at reactor.am.
guys?
What do you want?
The guys.
The guys.
That's it. Captains at reactor.am.
What do you want?
I
Yeah,
don't.
you can
I don't
christen
know.
this.
Hosts at reactor.am.
No, that's so boring.
Oh, all right.
Hosts. Let's just see.
Yeah,
Okay,
we can think on it. We'll come up with
okay,
that.
we're gonna do something better, but for right now, it's hosts@reactor.am, and if I see 10 emails come into hosts@reactor.am, I will do an intro.
Cool.
That's it. Yeah.
All right. So
This is great. So
any news you wanna talk
subscribers.
about? Yeah, we have some subscribers.
I've got a ridiculous amount of news that I want to talk about.
Are any
so
of them
much.
Redwood.js?
No, what's that?
That is a new framework, which I saw on Twitter. It's from Tom Preston Warner, who's the guy who made a lot of GitHub, but he also, before that, like did open source, like Gravatar was his thing.
Yeah.
He made Jekyll, static site generator. Also Toml, the file format that's kind of like YAML or some of these others. So same person. So basically written by someone who is pretty good at open source, and this is a Rails-ish looking thing for JavaScript. It bundles up React, GraphQL. It's like a Jamstack Railsy kind of thing, but it's got generators. It's got like a /web directory and a /API directory. So it's opinionated, which I think JavaScript needs so badly. Like my biggest complaint with building anything with Node isn't anything related to the language itself or the performance or anything like that. The biggest problem I have is there are 12 decisions to make at every single point of the app, and different people make different decisions. And because of that, if you jump into a new project, you have no idea where stuff is, and everyone's got their own idiosyncratic way of doing it, and there are all kinds of arguments about it. Whereas Laravel, if you go to another Laravel app, you know what directories things are going to be in, and you have an idea how everything works, and you can jump in and move quickly. And you've got generators and a bunch of other conveniences. Redwood is doing that for people who want React and GraphQL, Prisma, Babel, Webpack.
What is GraphQL?
Whoa, GraphQL is that is an alternative to REST that has gotten really popular the last few years, and it's really nice for a front end engineer. You basically query, query users, open bracket, name, and then next line ID number, and then next line friends, open bracket, name. You get like the names of the friends. So you send the exact shape of the data you want the server to return. And that's actually the next thing that I'll be teaching on Alchemist Camp. It'll be a pretty long paid series. And that's the next thing that I'm going to teach on Alchemist Camp. It's going to be a pretty long paid series.
But is that that next thing that you're going to teach, is that outside the scope of Elixir? I mean, that's just basic JavaScript stuff.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's a specification. It's like JSON isn't about Elixir or about Java or even JavaScript, although JavaScript works really nicely with it.
So GraphQL is a specification that is not Elixir.
Exactly. It is a specification for a string you can send to the server that will get a very specific response.
The reason I'm asking is, does this mean that you can expand your audience beyond the Elixir community?
No, I don't think so. So GraphQL is something that's getting more and more popular, especially for front-end developers, especially for bigger teams. Facebook uses it. It's been going on since I think 2014 is the first time I heard about it. We were just starting to, or no, it was 2015. We were just starting to use that at Verbling, where I used to work, and you can have whatever you want on the server that's serving the GraphQL. Just like you don't have to have a Ruby server to to respond to REST, right? It can just be
Got it.
whatever. Yeah. But there's an Elixir library called Absinthe, which is for Elixir users who want their server to serve GraphQL.
Got it.
And
Okay.
there are some cool things though that Elixir can do specifically thanks to Phoenix channels, like for GraphQL subscriptions.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So anyway, this is kind of a modern stack. React, GraphQL, Prisma is related to GraphQL. It's a thing that's.
But is it going to be slow like Indie Hackers?
I doubt it. I mean, Indie Hackers is great content and the worst UX of any site that I like willingly go back to, and that's a gigantic Ember app. So like Indie Hackers' problem is they're sending you like 8 megabytes, or maybe it's reduced to like 3 megabytes now. But last time I checked, they were sending 8 megabytes of a bundle. So if you're on your phone or something, of course it's going to take forever.
It's really, really weird. I mean, I don't understand. Like, I really like what they're doing. I really like the guys there, but it's such a strange site. Like...
Well, Cortland said he regrets that. He was learning Ember. That's why he used it.
It doesn't even need to be a single-page web app. I mean, it just makes no sense. I mean, it's like, why would you make a blog a single-page web app? It should just be... Each page should just be served as
because you want to learn a new framework.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So this one it's probably not going to be too many people learning a new framework for it. This is going to appeal to people who already want React and Prisma and Webpack and Babel. And a lot of that stuff's common anyway.
Just ties it all up. So why do they call it Redwood?
Maybe because they grow tall. I'm not sure. Yeah. Here, this is my guess. Redwoods grow from this tiny seed into these gigantic trees. And if you use Redwood.js, you can scale from a tiny site up to this gigantic thing, thanks to it being on the gem stack and having first-class support for Lambda functions and
nice.
All that. So
okay.
I'm probably going to play around with it.
Cool. So, what's next?
What have you got? Yeah.
Well, I want to just talk through the... I'm just going to do a screen share here. I want to talk through... Let me just double check that I'm in a good place to do that screen share.
Okay, while you're checking that, I'm going to say I bought Tailwind UI last time.
Oh, lovely.
I did. So it was, I was just thinking about getting my analytics site built out, and it's like I want all these nice looking pages on it, and it'll just speed it up so much. So this is one of the components, a pricing component that comes out of the box, and it's got all kinds of nice things built into it. It's responsive. It's got neat little interactions. It's got nice design, and there are hundreds of components in it already. And most of the things on the screen that I see for the listing of what you can get with Tailwind UI say coming soon. So basically it means they're really going all out, and it's going to be huge.
That is very cool. So is Alchemist Camp going to get a facelift? Or is it going to be for
maybe
new projects?
Someday. I'm going to use it for new projects first.
Okay.
I mean, Alchemist
your
Camp,
stats one.
Yeah, Alchemist Camp needs a facelift at some point, but it's more work to do that than it is on a new one.
Okay. So, all right. So if you look at this were my goals last week. So basically, to get my blood sugar in a range of basically to keep it in range over 70% of the time, and to do significant work on the Taskflow CSS HTML UI framework. Mm-hmm. I didn't get quite as far as I wanted on the Taskflow stuff, and I'll show you that in a second. But first, I want to talk about the blood sugar stuff. Because I don't know, I've been trying to crack it for so long, and I think it's a big deal, and I think it could help other people. So just, but what's really interesting about it is it's hard data. Mm-hmm. But there's a little bit of a story to this as well. So after we did the last show,
Yep.
I This is where it looks like you're backgrounding me, by the way.
I'm not. I'm looking at the screen. I'm just.
All
I don't
right.
know where you're going with this.
Yeah. So so this is a bit of a story. So after we did the last show, because I've had this continuous glucose monitor, I've been sort of, I guess self-quanting, looking at what's going on, and I also got this blood pressure monitor as well. So I got this blood pressure monitor and I put it on, and saw that my blood pressure was kind of okay, but I was lying down when I took my blood pressure, and then I sat up, and then I took my blood pressure, and it changed. It wasn't so good, and I was
that
like,
makes
"What
sense.
the?"
Yeah.
I was like, "That." But does it make sense? Because it was significantly different, and then I stood up, and it was even worse.
Yeah.
And then
It's higher sitting than lying, and higher standing than sitting.
well, okay, but it's taking me out of range in a bad way. So in other
Yeah.
words, if I do the blood pressure standing up, my blood pressure is completely bad. If I do my blood pressure lying down, my blood pressure is fine. So
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck? So I Googled that and found a study of 10,000 people where that essentially means that's a very strong indicator that you've got heart disease.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, that really hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, holy crap, like that's bad. So then I Googled, what has anyone ever been able to reverse plaque from the arteries? Is there any meds, anything? The only thing that's ever done that is a vegan diet.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So there's actually studies, like multiple medical studies, where people have reversed heart disease through a vegan diet. So this is what I already knew I should be doing for my diabetes, but the problem is I haven't been able to stick to it. And over the last 10 years, I've tried it multiple times. I've tried all these different ways of doing this, but I finally worked out a sustainable way of actually doing it, like a plan. And I'll talk to you about that in a second. But first of all, I just want to show the proof in the pudding here. So if we look at here, this is the last week. So this is basically when.
So you're looking at a page with a bunch of stats about.
Yeah,
your
this
last
is
week.
my this is the blood sugar monitor thing that's plugged into me all the time. So this is February the 5th to March the 4th.
Yep. And
February 5th to March 4th. That's probably too much of a time range, but still, it makes the point, which is 25% in range and 75% high.
Sorry, what are you talking? I don't completely follow.
Okay, my blood sugar.
Yep.
So basically, this thing's tracking my blood sugar all the time, and I'm trying to be under 200 milliliter, 200, basically whatever the measurement is, mg/dl, and over that very long time, from the 5th of February to the 4th of March, I was 25% in range and 75% high.
Gotcha. So
and that's what it's been like for the last 10 years for me.
So if most of the time in general, you're 25% of the time you're in range and 75% of the time you're not.
Yeah,
The rest of the time your blood glucose is too high.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but which basically lays the foundation for kidney disease, like liver failure, like heart disease, all this stuff.
Stuff you don't want. Yeah.
Stuff you don't want. So if we look at last week, 87% in range, which is basically phenomenal. Like that's a week. So from the last time I saw you, 87% in range with an average glucose reading of 167.
And usually you're 25% in range.
Yeah, I'm
So
usually
great.
less. I mean, over the last 10 years, I've usually been like very, very barely in range ever. So so it's a big breakthrough. And it's kind of it's pretty cool because the reason why I'm so excited is because it's a way of eating that I know I can sustain.
So what did you do different?
Thank you. That's exactly what I was hoping you would ask. What I did different was I reframed it and went back to our mental models. Let's see.
Your Lux service area. You just try to spend time in the vegetable area of the grocery market or grocery store.
No, not exactly. Let me just find those mental models so that I can remember what we're talking about here. Yeah. So first principles. So thinking, just going back to, so the solution basically, first principles, keeping it really small, and just rethinking the idea of diet and food and what works from the ground up. So I know that I've tried a few different plans. I've tried, high fat, some carbs, some greens, and some alcohol, and that basically doesn't work. I've tried high fat, no, that doesn't work, but I can sustain it. And it doesn't work in a really bad way. That keeps me between 200 and 300, so 250 to 300.
Okay.
So that's really bad. And that's what I've been doing for a long time, I've tried high fat, no carbs, some greens, and no wine. So basically being really strict on an Atkins diet. And that also doesn't work. I mean, it's better. It keeps me just hovering just around 200. But if I even have any carbs, then it goes up and stays up for a long time. And so this is the other issue, is like insulin sensitivity. Like, does something if you have some carbs, will it go down? Well, when you have, what I learned from the Mastering Diabetes community that I participated in, was that basically, if you have fat in your blood, that stops insulin from being effective. And so even though I've tried to do what they suggest, which is basically be high plant, low fat, it's so difficult to do. Well, in the past it has been so difficult to do.
It's not low enough, I guess.
No, it's just sustaining it. It's a very difficult thing to sustain, to actually live off plant-based food. Like for me,
that makes sense.
And have you ever tried it? Have you ever?
Actually, so I was a vegetarian for a while when I was younger. I was living in Boulder, Colorado, so it's fairly common out there.
Was that generally low-fat vegetarian, or just regular vegetarian?
I wasn't, I wasn't buying avocados every day or something like people often do now, but it was basically just like a standard late '90s vegetarian type. But, then
I think that wouldn't be
totally vegan for a little while, and that didn't work for me because I was running like 100 miles a week, and my body just needed. I started breaking down. So then after that, I just went to a standard American diet, which worked pretty well as like a 20-year-old who runs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But now I probably have to modify back a bit.
So well. So
I've tried. It's hard. Like not eating stuff you want to eat is hard.
Well, what I want to show here is this is, so I'm showing some charts here of like my last 7 days range, and the reason why this is important. If we just look at these charts, what I'm showing is the line of when I eat something, blood sugar spikes, goes up to 209, then it goes down to 120. And by the way, 120 is basically normal person's numbers. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good. So see how it spikes. But now I'm just going to change the time range here and show you.
So you were talking about March 11. You were getting down to normal range.
So let's go back, because you need to understand how significant this is.
Whoa, okay. Yeah,
okay.
So the charts now are all like yellow, and there's a red line way under the
but not only that. So this might be just me. So
that's like the amount over 200. Okay.
This is the amount over 200, but not only that. It's showing, what the chart is showing is that there's no peaks and valleys. There's just straight above 200. So I'll be on this.
Was that the Atkins?
This is Atkins. So I'll be on a bit of.
Okay.
I'll be on a bit of I'll be on low fat and some carbs, or low fat and no carbs, and then I'll have like just a little bit of a carb, like something small, half a banana, and then basically it'll bump it up, and it will just stay up over an extended period of time and just not go back down. So like you can see here, like 275, like this is life damaging numbers that I've been living through for the past 10 years.
So I've got some friends that have done like really strict ketogenic diets, and it seems like if you do that and you're just completely adhering to it, it's not bad. It's actually pretty good. But if you're eating like all those fats and then you have like any carbohydrates at all, like the numbers get really bad really fast. So it seems like you You
That
have
is
to
basically
do
impossible.
like all
So
or
what I've
nothing.
found is it's basically impossible for me to just do high fat
Yeah.
with no carb. So it's just an impossible lifestyle choice. Anyway,
So
just
yeah,
get
but you found something you can do.
okay.
So what
Yeah,
are you
and
eating that you can stick to that had those way better numbers from this month?
okay. So first principles, keep it simple. So I've reframed the
What are you
problem.
eating? Like what's the? Just give me. I want the hack.
The hack is I've been thinking about this through the lens of technology, and thinking, okay, I want to create a food framework. And
Okay.
the hack is it's so fucking simple, right? But you got to
But
let me get there.
it requires mental models to say what you
It
eat.
it does require mental models.
Okay.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's really simple. But isn't how you get there important?
I guess. Yeah. All right.
I mean, basically, I mean, what am I? I'm obviously eating vegetables.
Yeah.
That's so okay. End of discussion.
Okay. So you're eating lots of vegetables, and then you're not as hungry for other stuff.
Right. Okay. But I've never been able to do that before.
All
So
right. So
so how did I do it this time? Right. The reason is because I'm thinking of food as like a technology in the same way as Soylent. So I thought, okay, how do I create vegetable? How do I turn vegetables into a Soylent type of concept?
okay.
So basically, I want because the idea of Soylent, which I thought was interesting, was it's just this food substance that you eat in the main. So you sort of eat it as all your functional meals, but not as your going out meals, not as your having fun meals. So the idea of Soylent is they've used technology to create a food, put it in a bottle. It's sort of kind of nice. It's just there. You just grab it. You just use it.
Just
So I
purely
thought,
utilitarian.
so is it possible to do something like that with vegetables? So what I created was this I guess salad mix, which I've sort of cut up, and I realize I'm not very good at explaining it. That's because it's just so new. It's so new to me. I don't understand how to explain it in a quick way. But basically,
Is it a set
one
meal? Like one set
no,
meal
it's
you
not it's
repeat?
not a set meal. What I've
Okay.
done is I've created like a vegetable kind of rice. So
Okay.
like, hang on, let me just grab it. I'll just show you out of the fridge 1 second, and then you can describe it to the listeners.
All right. All right. So he's got some Tupperware container. He's holding it up to the camera, and it has lots of greens in it, and some yellow and some red, other color, very colorful. Looks like a big salad.
So basically, it's foundational. It's a foundational ingredient that I just shove into a bowl, and it doesn't have too much of a specific taste one way or another. I mean, it is kind of nice the way that I've set it up, but I use it like rice. So it's the foundation for every meal. So like one meal I'll put like veggie mince and soy sauce or whatever, and just use it like a rice base. Another meal I'll do like ginger and like some ginger dressing. Another meal I'll do some kind of veganese type dressing. So it's just this. It's a huge bowl of prepared salad that's chopped really finely. That's got a mouth feel, because salad is normally, when you think about salad, it's like these big leaves. It's kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
difficult to eat. So this is sort of chopped down really finely, and it's just available to just grab, shove in a bowl, and then flavor it any way you want. And
Okay.
that is the thing. So it takes zero time.
Yeah.
I prep it, a huge bowl of it. It lasts for 3 days.
So you made a healthy default. It's just like an easy default base for your meal.
It's the base for everything. It's the base for
Yeah.
everything while I'm just generally. So even if I'm working at home, if I'm sitting in the kitchen, I just run to the fridge, I grab it, and I can make like 3 days worth in one go. So it's sort of like Soylent, if Soylent was like really
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of super greens and red cabbage and carrot and all this different stuff.
So you did Soylent before too. Like how is that for
Exactly.
your blood sugar, or do you know?
Horrific.
That makes sense.
Yeah, horrific. So like I'm not even thinking about, I'm not even thinking about it. And the reason why I'm so excited, and it probably doesn't sound like a very exciting thing.
Well,
fucking salad.
It kind of does. Well, so you're right. Okay, so I take back my skepticism about you wanting to introduce it through a mental model, as crazy as that
Right.
seems for food, because just having a good default is super powerful. I can imagine that
I mean,
really easily.
basically, it's a framework. It's thinking about food through the lens of the framework, the mental model. So basically, keeping it simple, foundational, like all that stuff that we've spoken about from the get go of this
And it's
show.
a good motivation hack too. Like I like that.
How do you mean?
Because a lot of times, it's like our willpower is strong in a burst when we're making a decision, and then the rest of the day, if you set it up so that it's really convenient and easy to do the wrong thing, like if I just have like the front of my refrigerator be candy bars, like I'm gonna be eating lots of candy bars. So you've basically reduced the amount of willpower it takes to eat the kind of thing that you've decided you want to eat, and it's working at least for a week or two.
Well, the other really interesting thing about it is already within the past week, I've had two, I guess, blowouts with wine and
Mm.
eating badly, like so, which would normally that you saw the yellow charts that would normally like knock me out for a couple of days. Well, this was one of them here, and I'm straight back down. So for people listening, so basically on a Sunday I had a blowout with a couple of glasses of wine. It tipped over 200 and then went back down to 160, and then last night
Wait,
I
how
had a
long
blow.
was it over 200?
So let's see, um, 6 to 11, so three
Oh, so
hours.
it was just a
Three
few
hours.
hours.
And
That's
so the same
okay.
thing last night. I did the same thing, a couple of glasses of wine, then I had a couple of bars of chocolate, and
Oh,
and essentially it went over 200 for like 3 hours, and then went back down, and
but
it
it
was
was
just
vegan
wrecked.
chocolate, right?
Uh,
And
no,
vegan
because
wine.
I'm not strict. I'm not
Oh,
really
okay.
being strict vegan. But I this is not so much about vegan. I think is just about having that continuous throughput of roughage in your system, so it keeps your body working, which then
Mm.
and it gives it good stuff, and then keeps it going. And I
No,
and I
I was
realize it
just I
sounds.
was just joking. Like a bunch of my
Oh yeah,
friends and I used to have this idea of, just marketing everything as vegan. Like a
yeah.
vegan Coca-Cola, vegan this.
Yeah,
But
I guess
yeah,
I'm a little
it's
overexcited about this, but maybe it's just because it's a problem I've been trying to solve for many, 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 many years. And you've heard me try
yeah.
and solve this problem on
I
my
wouldn't be
podcast.
too
Fuck.
excited now, but if you are still on this in 2 weeks, that would be pretty exciting.
Well, okay, but I mean, there's already a couple of provable facts here. I mean, like
You've
yeah,
done you're showing me a good week of stats. Like
yeah.
that
Okay,
that
well,
looks
I mean,
very
all I got to do
promising.
is stick to this, and I can tell you it's going to be
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
easy.
Well, that I'll hold you accountable.
All right.
I'm unilaterally making that one of your accountability goals.
Okay, so stick to eating plan.
Yeah,
All right, I'll try and do that for next
yeah.
week.
Those are some great stats. So,
Sweet.
was there any? Did you have a news article too, or?
No.
All right. Well, I had a couple things I wanted to talk about. One is I don't know if this is worth mentioning, but I saw the most soul crushing humble bundle I've ever seen in my life. It's Humble Bundle Land a Tech Job 2.0 for dummies, and all of the offers are for dummies, and they're all related to getting a job. So it's like coding with JavaScript for dummies, job search letters for dummies, job searching with social media for dummies, getting an IT help desk job for dummies, getting your first job for dummies, and then my favorite, getting an information security job for dummies. You get all 6 books for $1, and it just looks soul
But
crushing.
I'm confused. So Humble Bundle is a third party. How are they selling? Are they just selling? How are they selling these official for dummies books for $1?
Well, they are Alexa rank 1400, so
Yeah.
they have a ridiculous amount of traffic they've built up over many years from selling lots of games and other stuff. So I think they just go up to publishers and say, "We have a huge audience. What have you got for us?" And publishers just see it as marketing. But I've gotten good no starch press books through this. Like I got
Real
like
books?
15. Yeah, yeah. So in my hierarchy of tech publishers, probably number one would be No Starch Press, or maybe Pragmatic Programmers, and then Manning close behind, then maybe O'Reilly, and then like a
Mm-hmm.
bunch of junk. But yeah, these are like good, like the Rust book, the Rust programming language was co-written by Steve Kablanek, who's the person to be learning Rust from, and it's kind of the I don't know if it's the official one, but it's the most respected reference. Like the main Rust book was in a bundle that I got for like $8.
And how do they afford? I mean, obviously you pay shipping on top of that, right?
Oh, they're all ebooks.
Oh, it's ebooks.
Everything's
Got it.
digital. Yeah, yeah. So I think
Okay.
every Humble bundle, like whether if it's games or books, is digital only.
Okay, that clarifies things. Yeah, because I'm like, how the hell is that possible? But if it's ebooks, then it's not costing these.
Yeah,
It
they're
doesn't really cost anyone anything other than the.
just
Yeah.
sending you the bits.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and thinking kind of related to this, it's not a mental model, but are you familiar with the idea of consumer surplus?
Well, I am because you've discussed it with me, and I really like this, and I was
I
hoping we could talk
have.
about this
Ah,
show.
right, right. So it's something I've been thinking about, partially because I'm interested in economics, and partially because there's this really, really strong ethos in indie hacker slash bootstrapper communities where I guess it's because Patio 11 showed up on Hacker News 1,000 times and said charge more. And you've got like MicroConf, like Rob Walling, all those people saying charge more, raise your prices. Nathan Barry's story making ConvertKit, he went with something premium right away, $49 a month, and people didn't exactly want it for that much. And instead of lowering the price, he changed what he offered till they did want it for that much. And it makes sense. Like I see why a lot of people getting started want to charge as much as they can. There is a point though where I think maybe it's a bit overrated right now. So what I'm imagining is, say I produce something that is worth some money. Like say I paint a picture and to you that picture is worth $10. If I charge you $5, I have gained $5 and you've gained $10 of value in exchange for $5. Maybe that's a bad example. Say it's some analytics service, and I can improve your sales by X amount, and you make $200 more in sales. If I charge $100, you might buy it and benefit from it. We both benefit.
Mm-hmm.
But if I want to like push it hard, I could try to charge you like $195, and you still get $5 extra value on top of that, and like maybe you do want to buy it. That's kind of like buying Facebook ads or Google ads. Like the prices have just gone up and up and up
Mm-hmm.
to whatever the limit people will pay for it is. So the question is, how much consumer surplus should you take? Should you go for like 99% of it? Or should you let the consumer have 90% of it? Because I've seen both of these things work pretty well. Some advantages of charging more is you have more money to work with, and then you can improve your product, and maybe you can grow faster. Some advantages of not taking all the consumer surplus would be, say, like what Adam Wathan has been doing. Like he's been selling $1,000 products for $150 from what I've seen, like over the last 5 years. Or Laracast, same kind of thing. Like Laracast is an insanely good offering, and for many years it was just $9 a month. And I think even now it's only 15. And what I think that does is it gets you, first of all, it gets you a lot of really happy customers. So retention will obviously be better, but beyond that, you get a lot of goodwill. And
So we're saying, so just to clarify, so we're
mm,
saying that the consumer surplus for Laracast is they could charge you $500 because maybe you can use that knowledge to upskill your job, and you could earn, many thousands of dollars, in your job. So it could be looked at one way, viewed as a very expensive product, but they still give you the same value, and they only charge you $15 a month. So it's that this, and the surplus is between 15 and 500 kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's pretty easy to compare because there are a lot of competitors to Lyricasts, or in fact, like Alchemist Camp, in some ways is like Lyricast because I'm selling screencasts and there's a
Right.
subscription, and I'm charging $21, and that's partially because I have to because it's a much smaller niche and there are fewer alternatives, but Jeffrey Way has made a lot of videos and they're really good videos, and I don't think anyone else has made anywhere near as much. It's ridiculous, and he's kept really low prices.
But the interesting viewpoint I thought that you had about this was from the founder's point of view. So as a founder, because we've discussed this before, as a founder can put out stuff, and the founder can make a decision how much surplus, how much of the surplus am I going to give to the end people who are buying from me versus how much am I going to keep for myself.
Yeah.
So if someone is putting out $1,000 product and they're knowingly giving away, $950 and just charging $50, then and they're sort of making that decision to be that giving, I thought that was quite an interesting concept versus someone who sort of knows that it's worth 1,000 and they're going to charge, 950, and they're just going to take everything that they can, kind of thing. And so what was interesting is that from a founder perspective, there's some level of goodwill that you're putting back into the market. Let's call it your goodwill surface area.
Well, we don't need a surface area on everything. But here's the thing about goodwill that's interesting. Goodwill helps you grow because it gets you more positive word of mouth, and it can't be taxed, right? Like if I just harvest the consumer surplus, and people are, they're not upset or anything, but I've just got like a normal service, and I'm saving a lot of money. Well, that all gets taxed regularly. But if I produce something that people love, there's no tax on that. Like, that just accumulates until whatever time I decide to cash in on it by selling something expensive.
Yeah, but you wouldn't really be able to sell that one thing expensive because people would hate that price point to go up. So you'd have to do a new product.
Maybe, or just keep adding to it and slowly increase the price. But it's also kind of related to the idea I've had about, like, what do you do? This comes up on Indie Hackers all the time. It's like, what do you do if you live in a place where employers can give you crazy non-compete, we own your entire brain, everything it creates, even at home, even with your own equipment. Well, like, one thing you can do is just make a lot of free stuff and build up your goodwill. And if more people like you and you have more of an audience, then once you do leave that job, you can start selling stuff to that audience.
Yeah, that is a very good point.
So I don't necessarily think that Ben Ornstein, who I think is one of the most extreme, I don't necessarily think he should start selling everything cheaply, because obviously like it's worked well. His Rails course seemed to do pretty well. He's got great business with Tuple, but I think there's there are like multiple strategies that work. You could go his route, or you could go like an Adam Wathan route, and I wouldn't want to just reflexively say no, you must charge more for everything.
There should be a name for that. That should have maybe it's not a mental model, but it should have a name anyway, I think.
It's not consumer surplus. Like it's not
consumer surplus sounds so boring. There should be like a fun funky name for it.
It should be, there's no tax on love or on I don't know. It could be a tagline. Yeah. So that's something I've been thinking about, probably because of getting getting close to launching a new service, and I'm thinking, how do I want to price it, and how
Well,
much do I want to increase after it goes past the freemium?
it could be a blog post title could be something like consumer surplus or how goodwill can increase your profits, something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Goodwill.
I definitely see it as a long-term strategy.
Yeah.
Like if you only have 1 year and you got to make something happen, then you probably do want to charge more in almost every circumstance.
Okay. Cool. Maybe I'll do. I guess I'll do share and just give you the update on Taskflow.
Yeah. I want to see that. Oh, I had some thoughts on that too, because last time I was talking about including basically last time we were talking about you've got your strategies, you've got ingredients that are used for the strategies of the tasks you're doing, you've got users, and users can create their own strategies and they can create their own ingredients. What are we going to do on the database side? And I was saying, like, we'll just keep track of how much every ingredient is worth for each strategy for each user. And if they haven't linked the two, then we'll just put a 0 in that column. And that was a bad idea. For some reason, I was thinking of like a matrix multiplication where you've got, two matrices, or you've got this matrix, you're multiplying, you've got zeros, that makes total sense. But in the context of a database, like it doesn't have to be that complicated. It can just be some join tables. You just have join tables for users and strategies and ingredients, and you'll just have something that's like, join strategies and users where user is Justin, and ingredients where ingredient is used by the strategy, and it's going to be performant enough for a long, long time. And then if it gets truly massive, then you could look at some like NoSQL with replicated data.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I kind of steered you wrong. Sorry about that.
All right. Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, it's something that I'll just keep circling back with you. As I work up some solutions and do some testing on the product. So what I've been working on is really the framework. So again, thinking through the I guess the mental models that we spoke about from the beginning of the show. Just thinking about building the framework to build this. So I sort of started building out that CSS framework, and I've got quite far. So this is what I'm just showing here is different aspects of the framework that I've built. So the first thing is made this little cheat sheet for myself. So here's the kind of shortcodes. So it just makes it super easy. So if I want to do something like a font size 10, I just do like an FS-10. If I want to do something like text left, I just do a TL. And so these have been pretty quick and simple to make. And then when I started building with it, with these, building front end stuff with these shortcodes, and I know this is basically what Tailwind has done, and this is what I've been doing for a long time, but I've sort of, I guess, codified it now. Like since you told me about Tailwind, I've been like, yeah, that really was a good idea that I've been doing for the last 5 years. Maybe I should really double down on this. So that's why I sort of decided to do that.
Wait. So you mean double down as in like start sharing it on GitHub?
Yeah, just actually structuring it rather than just like doing things. Because the way that I've been doing it is like, I've been like, oh man, I wish I just had a quick way of just centering this. Okay, I'll just write a quick little thing, to center it. And it's just been adding one by one by one by one, I've never actually thought, okay, you know what? I should just go ahead and do a clever lots of short codes thing. Yeah. So,
Got it.
yeah, so this is that. So this is just makes it super easy. And as I showed you last time, I've also created a responsive version of all of these. So for example, if I'm going to do padding left, so padding top by 50, I can do padding top responsive by 50, and then that will basically, as the screen size changes, it will also change things, which works really nicely, by the way. So then colors. So this was just to make it so that it's super easy to skin. So what I'm just showing now is how I'm flicking between a dark mode and a light mode.
Dark mode, yeah.
And I've got all these. So I have colors and shortcodes that makes it super easy for me to just sort of see exactly what it looks like in dark mode and light mode. And I've only got really.
Of each color do you have?
I think it's 12 of just the base color. So there's only one thing where I've done shades, and everything else is. So I've basically got a main color, which is like a main nav, so that's dark up here.
Mm-hmm.
A secondary color, which is the background, and then I've got the text color over a text color over the main, and a text color over this, and then a highlight color, and then I've just done shades of the main
primary
color.
and the secondary.
Yeah, the primary and secondary, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so I can sort of see. So that makes it super easy to create a skin because, the skin is only 20 lines long, kind of thing.
Mm. I
So-
definitely like how it looks, especially the dark mode.
Yeah, I'm having problems with the light mode myself. I'm not super keen on it. So then with fonts, these are the selected the fonts, and I can sort of just showing now how I can sort of go ahead and go into my cheat sheet font screen and see quickly how I can choose fonts. And then buttons, I created buttons there, so move into the dark mode. There we go. And then here's a little short codes to create the button.
So what is the motivation for making your own version of Tailwind? Since you identified that you want something organized and you're doing something very similar to Tailwind, like what inspired you to start doing this instead of just grabbing Tailwind?
My motivation is because over all my years of experience of development, whenever I've used someone else's library, I've never been happy with it. And it's always gotten me, first of all, I have to learn it. And I find that takes a significant amount of time to understand it. And then second of all, for me to get it perfect and exactly where I want to go, the last 10% takes me a lot of effort. In fact, more effort than it would take for me to just build it. So this space...
Has that even been the case with lower level like utility things like _JS? Do you use that much or?
No. So it's like pick your poison. So it's specific things. I used to do that with PHP. I used to always build my own PHP frameworks until Laravel, and then I got a boost out of Laravel.
Yeah. Well, so that's interesting too because I've had really good success with something low level like _ or low dash. Because I mean, it was just adding really standard stuff like pluck and each and that kind of thing that JavaScript didn't have at the time. And I've also had good experience with like the entire framework, like Rails or Laravel. But it's those medium-sized things like, like Angular or React sometimes, or I can't think of any examples off the top of my head, but both. I mean, React is okay, but it's the medium-sized libraries that have really gotten me.
Let me give an example. Like I've tried to use Bootstrap, so I've tried. I mean, I do keep trying.
Yeah.
I do keep trying. I go back and I try them. But for example, with Bootstrap, like just the way that it does,
it does too much.
It's even the way that it does. It deals with responsive, and then. It's just a lot of code and it's just heavy. And I just know that like when I build my stuff, I mean this is 8K what I've built like so far. It's just 8K, and I know I can do everything I need to do, and I know what works and what doesn't work. So, So anyway, just continuing. So this is the input. So just want to keep it super simple, and then this. So then obviously we spoke about there's a layout for the web and for the app. So I'm just going to show you very quickly the layout. So this is just super simple. So I know that with something like Tailwind, there would be lots of classes for ways of like doing layout and grids and stuff like this. But I really don't need that many, Like I just need columns, and I just need it to work in one very simple way. And I'm just showing you that there. So sorry for anyone on the podcast. And then just finally the combination of it. There's a login page. Yay! That's the login page built out of those components, and it just looks fine. And then here's the basic layout of the app, just starting to build the layout of the app there. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah. Well, this seems like a lot of work on the design, but it also seems super valuable for this kind of app because it's pretty competitive space.
Well, you start off doing the framework stuff, doing the underlying framework stuff. Yeah. You start off slow. It's basically exactly the opposite of... Okay, here's the reason why I like to build my own frameworks. It's exactly the opposite of using someone else's framework. when you build your own stuff like this, you start off slow, so you spend a week. But then the further you get, the faster you get, and you can really start popping stuff out at the end. So the last 10%, you can build the whole site. You know, it's the other way around with the framework. You kind of get to the full site, sooner, but it's super hard to make it work like you actually want to work if you are detail oriented.
Yeah, that makes sense. When do you think you'll have like a V1 out there? Like,
I think so. I guess my goal for this time next week is to just have the rest of the UI, so the full UI done,
the UI.
based on the framework stuff that I've done here, and then I guess the week after that I would start like wiring it up and plugging it into databases and start using it.
And I guess like you're going to use Laravel for it, so I guess that side will be a lot faster for you than the UI probably.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to have something maybe like 2 weeks from today. Let's say.
Cool.
Which is not bad considering I started a week ago.
Yeah.
Like 3 weeks. 3 weeks to actually start testing something is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in seeing the progress.
You sound really interested.
Well, this is how I am, especially 1 a.m. or whatever it is.
Yeah, right.
I do need some better prioritization. Right now, Whimsical is I'm kind of like putting everything into Whimsical, but I've already done that before with many other things.
Well, let's see your stuff. So I'm pretty much done because
Okay.
I basically my goals are stick to the eating plan and prove that new way of thinking works. And my second goal is get the rest of the UI done for the next week. So that's me.
Let's just stay on this page because you can add my goals in as well.
Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Since we share the doc, so my progress from last week isn't super exciting because I made another video and I did some stuff. What I did was I upgraded to live view 0.8.1. So I was on 0.5.1. And I was going to upgrade to like 0.6.1, and then a new one came out, and then I was going to upgrade to that, and then I finally did upgrade to 0.8.1 and screencasted it, published it on YouTube. It's getting good traffic, good retention, but I just all I did was an upgrade, and the worst thing is live view 0.9 just came out, so I'm really just building on a castle of sand or a foundation of sand here.
Oh, so this is like so that they just keep on shifting the Elixir library under you, or the live view library.
Live view, yeah. I think this has actually been a bad thing for Phoenix adoption or for Elixir adoption, because the most exciting thing is Phoenix Live View, and that's been the most exciting thing for a year, and they've been encouraging people to make stuff with it. And it's still not version 1.0. So, and it's great there's progress, and I know they needed people to work with it in order to, work out the kinks. But for the past year, like everyone's like, well, do I use this thing? It looks cool. Maybe I should use it. That's why I came here. Well, I'll just wait. But then it never comes out. And I hope 1.0 happens soon. I really, really hope that happens soon.
So it can just get it set to a certain place. But in the meantime, you're building videos teaching people how to use this, and it's well,
I did some upgrades. I taught some stuff. I also built out a little bit more of the site, so I should have the podcast pages all done before the next video. But the biggest goal I have for this coming week is work on the analytics app. I want to get the landing page done. So I've bought Tailwind UI. I've got a bunch of good components to work with. I don't think there's any reason I can't have the landing page, the sign up, the pricing page, all that stuff done. And learning.
So you mean like wired up, or just the front, just the front end?
Oh well, the back end takes like 5 minutes, so no problem there. I may not have the things done that I need to authenticate users to use the API. I probably won't have that done, but I'll I'll have the the landing page and the sign up, all that stuff done. Have the UI built, or the marketing UI built.
Okay.
Then number 2 is continue building the site for the number 2 is continue building the site for this podcast. Number 3 is once again attempt to put in some time on Git internals. As I said, the Laravel course, I was planning on doing that, or I did that, but it was all stuff I already knew. So I have to go to an actual book. And number 4, I feel like I need a number 4 just in case things go quickly.
Okay.
Oh, no. Number 4 will be write notifications for Alchemist Camp. Implement notifications.
Okay.
So people can see when a new video comes out that they're following a series in, or a comment on something that they've commented on.
All right.
That is a plan. Any final thoughts?
No. Live long and prosper.
Well, until next time.
All right.